Well, countries around the world marked World Teachers' Day this week, and in South Africa, of course, one can always look to Nelson Mandela for a quote on these important issues. And on education, he previously said that education is the most powerful weapon with which you can use to change the world. Then let's discuss teachers in South Africa now, and we're going to talk about this with Dr. Muki Moeng, who's the Executive Dean of the Faculty of Education at the Nelson Mandela University. Doctor, very good afternoon to you. Welcome to Newsfeed PM. Has it become harder to be a teacher in South Africa?
I wouldn't say it has become harder, but it has become harder to get people interested in teacher education. So we work very hard to recruit, learners from high school so that they can consider teaching as their first option. Because sometimes you find that teaching was not their first option. They have something else as their first option. And then if they don't get into that qualification, and then they go into teaching as a second option or sometimes a third option.
And what has made teaching so unattractive, especially to the youth that is now going into varsity?
I think in some point role models that learners don't have in school. They see how they are treated in school or how they treat teachers sometimes, and they feel like they don't want, to do that. The communities as well play a big role in terms of putting value on how, on the importance of teachers. So if in your community your teachers are not valued, then, teachers are really not valued. Also, the payment of teachers also, because, youth want to have a car immediately, buy a house and all of those things. And as you come into teaching, you need to first work for a while for you to be able to afford certain luxuries. But I must say that teaching is a fulfilling job. But
fulfilling, as you say it is, it must still be said that you're going to need a lot more help to attract young people to the profession, especially, as you said, that it's often a fallback option for many of them if they don't get into their desired fields of study. So who do you need help from the most? Is it the government?
The government is helping. The DBE has got a Funza Lushaka bursary scheme where, learners get, funded. Students are getting funded for the full 4 years, and then they are placed in a school after they qualify. But what we also do at our university is to get the young ones. So we take our second, third, and fourth years. When we do recruit, we go with them to the rural areas, to the townships, to the urban areas, so that they can stand in front of those learners to say, look at me. I come from where you are now, and I'm doing my second year, I'm doing my third year, and these are the things that I love about teaching. I've been exposed to so many things. So that strategy of recruitment that we have embarked on has made us attract a lot of students into our program. As we speak now for our program at Nelson Mandela University, foundation phase and intermediate phase, we are fully, full. We were full before the 30th of September when we closed. So there is, some kind of attraction to the profession that is happening.
And the profession has changed. It is evolving from the traditional sense where you had a teacher, a blackboard, and a textbook, pupils, and their exercise books. Now, we've seen just during this pandemic how technology, for example, has infiltrated the space, and the unpredictable way in which children, to a degree, are even picking careers. How are you preparing teachers to go into the schools ready for that sort of environment?
Yes, we are preparing teachers in our universities, and I can speak for most universities because I'm the outgoing chair of the Dean's Forum, Education Dean's Forum nationally. And most of the universities are preparing students. But what we find problematic is when they go for their teaching practice into schools, they hit, a rock there because there are no equipment or facilities. So we prepare them at university because we have all of these wonderful facilities and connectivity, so everything is there. But then when they get to some of the schools, then they don't get to practice, and also employ what we have taught them. But we do teach them to be agile and flexible and adaptable, so that whichever context they find themselves in, they'll be able to apply some of the methodologies that we have, exposed them to.
And how do you get around what we're seeing mirrored in teaching? You perhaps see that, for example, in the medical field, where young graduates either want to work in the private sector or want to work in the more urban areas, which then robs the poorest children, those who've already grown up at a disadvantage, of sometimes the highest quality level of teaching.
Yeah, and yes, we are trying to deal with that. As I said, the DBE has got, the Funza Lushaka bursary, because that is the aim of that bursary, so that if we have recruited you from a rural area and you receive the bursary, so for the next, when you qualify, you are placed in that district where you were recruited. So that's the way that the government is trying to mitigate it. It is something really that we are struggling with, because some of the students also are recruited from outside. So we have a few of our students who teach, in the Middle East and also in the Asian countries. And so they go there to teach. And that's something we're really struggling with.
Dr. Muki, Moeng, good to speak to you this afternoon. Thank you for your time.